Okay. Be careful. This one's going to be a hard one, okay?
Well, as we get ready to hear President Trump's address to Congress, I want to thank you all for joining me for our fourth town hall here on Merit TV. Thank you very much. Tonight, I want to hear what you think and what you're feeling about his first 45 days of his second term. Can you believe it's only been 45 days? It's been a whirlwind, to say the least. Would you all agree with that? I mean, a lot's been going on. Tonight, we're here not to take sides, but to have an honest conversation. So please don't hold back, because honest dialogue is how we really understand each other and bring our nation together. But before we get started, I want to introduce someone that I have a deep respect for. He's become a good friend of mine, sometimes an adversary, and he's my co-host tonight. He's the co-founder and host of The Young Turks, the longest-running daily show in internet history, and the Young Turks Network. He is also the best-selling author of Justice is Coming. I'm talking about Cenk Uygur. Cenk is known for his passionate commentary, and he's built a platform, YTY. How are you doing, my friend?
Good, brother.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Now, what I admire most about Cenk is his unwavering commitment to speaking the truth as he sees it, regardless of popularity. And he and I have gotten to know each other. I've been on his show. He's been on mine. Sometimes we argue. Sometimes we agree. But we always finish up being friends, which is what I think needs to happen in this country again, don't you?
Yep, absolutely. So I love to see all of you here. I love that we're all keeping an open mind, open hearts, open minds. That's what TYT and Young Turks is all about. So let's watch together and let's decide for ourselves.
Yeah, so we've got time to talk before this starts, because I wanted to hear from you guys before the president speaks, and then we're going to talk after he speaks, which could be 90 minutes. It could be tomorrow morning. You never know once he gets started. So we wanted to hear, first off, I'm going to ask you some real general questions. Cenk's going to ask you some questions. But first off, how do you think it's been going in terms of what you expected? You had expectations. Maybe they were fears. Maybe they were just excitement. But how do you think it's been going for the first 45 days? Has it been good, bad, indifferent? Are you disappointed, excited? What are your thoughts? Raise your hand, stand up, and I want you to say your first name.
Take a shot every time
Don't say your last name.
says the donor
showing
class.
up at your house, giving you a raft of trouble. Just your first name and say what you think.
My name is Toby, and for the last 45 days since Trump has been in office,
Turn his mic on.
Good and bad. I say good because when you look at it foreign policy-wise, he's putting America first on the foreign policy, because why should we give our money to another country to take care of its own? But it's also bad when it comes to... Okay. My name's Toby.
We were just kidding. We don't really give a shit what you think.
Damn.
But you fell for it, didn't you? All right, Toby, go ahead. Say what you have to say.
My name's Toby. It's been going good and bad. I say bad when you look at it from a perspective of people losing their jobs in the government, especially a lot of veterans, because my family, we are 7 generations of military, and a lot of us serve in the government.
All right, I'm glad to hear that. 7 generations. All right.
And then also, it's been going good on the foreign policy-wise, because I'm like, my thing is, when it comes to Ukraine, Europe needs to take care of their house first before they try to come over here and tell us, oh, well, you have to help us with Ukraine. That's not our problem. Because at the end of the day, we have to take care of what's here first before we try to fix somebody else's problem.
All right. I got you. So you're okay with it generally so far?
Generally.
All right. How many of you agree with what he just said? Okay with it generally so far? Raise them real high so we can see them. Okay. All right. Who else has a point of view? Stand up and we'll find you with a microphone. Stand up so we can find you with a microphone.
My name's Jason. I really do not agree with the way the country's going. You know, I have friends that work in D.C. that have been, you know, laid off due to all the...
Oh. Friends in D.C., you say? Would you say that you're part of the... Say it, chat. He's part of the... donor class.
workforce cuts. I think on social policy, I don't think it's going great at all due to the demonization of many marginal groups in this country. And then also with Ukraine, I also completely disagree with that because I know that if Russia gets Ukraine, it could only go downhill from there. So I think the 45 days are going great. Probably in some regards if you are a Trump supporter, but if you don't support Trump, the wheels are falling off. So,
like what is falling off?
I just think in regards to both civility in the country, I think it's going downhill. I think it's been going downhill. And then I also just think government-wise, you know, with all the Doge cuts are really just cutting randomly. And a lot of programs have been cut that Elon then goes, oops, we have to put this back now. But those programs, if you actually were smart about what you're cutting, should have never been cut accidentally in the first place.
Yeah, what do you think about that? What do you think about Doge?
Yeah, so I'm curious what you guys think about Doge, too. Before I answer, can I ask you guys, a lot of you raised your hands when you said the first 45 days is going okay. How about the Doge cuts? How many are in favor of the Doge cuts so far as they're going? Okay. A little bit less, but a lot of people overall seem to like it, at least in this crowd. So for me, I think...
What does that mean?
What do you mean?
At least in this crowd.
Yeah, well, I mean...
You bring that California...
No, I'll tell you exactly what I mean. And let's note for the record that it took me a while to get up on this chair. Okay.
Holy shit. Wait, those are crazy chairs. What the fuck? What are these? Jesus. Sorry. Okay.
And let's note for the record that it took me a while to get up on this chair. Okay. So on the polling, Dr. Phil, the polling, whether you believe it or not, and oftentimes if you're on the wrong side of the polling, you don't believe it. And if you're on the right side of it, you do believe it. They're saying that they're less favorable to the Doge cuts than they are to Trump overall. And so to your question to me, look, as you and I have talked about a little bit before, including on Merit Street TV earlier today, he's taking a machete when I think he should be taking a scalpel. So I'm against waste, fraud, and abuse. We've been against it for 20 straight years. You can't stand it. Subsidies going out the door, usually to the donor class.
The
whoever donates
take a drink.
Democrats or Republicans, they get it back tenfold, 100-fold, et cetera. But if we're cutting before we even see what we're cutting, then it, by definition to me, can't be the right cuts. Whereas if you said to me, hey, I looked at it for 3 months, 6 months, et cetera, and here's fraud, here's abuse, here's waste, then I think we're all going to be on board. But when they cut right from the beginning and they cut veterans and they cut people that just came in, people go, well, that's not necessarily what I bargained for.
How many of you agree with that these are just blind cuts that are being made? How many of you think, no, they're not blind cuts, they're actually looking at it before they do it?
Ooh, dominated. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
So you're about split on that. You know, here's the thing. We all agree with what you just said, that we don't like fraud, we don't like waste, there's just bloat, fat in government. We all agree with that, right?
Do we?
Nobody disagrees with that.
Remember, unquestioned. Always just remember this little language trap, okay? It's so stupid. Always remember, don't forget. But whatever.
Everybody agree that is fat? Okay. And what I raised my hand when I said I like Doge, and I've been calling them out on some of the stuff that they're doing, but at least somebody is stepping up and making it an intentional. I mean, a lot of people.
Oh shit! Wait, was this talking point a conservative mind beam thing? Because. Was it Richard Hanania, or was it the one guy that I spoke to after the tax guy, or was it both who said, well, at least since Doge is doing it now, we're talking about it? Like, you could also just talk about it. Like, what do you mean? Like, I don't understand.
Democrats and Republicans alike, a lot of them are going, yeah. But at least somebody is intentionally stepping up and saying, I'm cutting this. I'm going to go in there, I'm going to find $2 trillion and cut it. Now, I've also said if you make a mistake, if you, like you say, if you cut something like with veterans or you cut things with the elderly who need medications or whatever, then and you find that, you need to put it back that day. You don't need to say, okay, well, we'll study this for 60.
Wait, have we watched this before?
A cult language technique called the thought terminating cliche. And this is something where once you understand what it is, you won't be able to unhear it. And it shows up in a lot of really destructive cults where it's this sort of stock expression that's easily memorized, easily repeated, and aimed at shutting down any type of pushback or questioning. This phrase was coined in the early 1960s by a psychologist named Robert J. Lifton. Whenever anybody, would clock a red flag or experience some cognitive dissonance, I really want to believe in this group, but I feel like something is amiss and I want to be able to talk about that. One of these zingy expressions will be served to you by someone with power in that group to shut you down and end the conversation and allow that person to remain in power. So in QAnon, for example, a thought terminating cliche might sound like, well, you need to do your research, or dismissing valid concerns about COVID by saying, don't let yourself be ruled by fear. That's a limiting belief. Who learned Pig Latin on the playground as a child? You're instantly filled with this sense of superiority because you know how to speak this thing that other people don't. And that Pig Latin doesn't say anything that can't be said in plain English, but the special language itself is what constructs that in group. So if you take that concept and you apply it to a group like Nexium or QAnon, that's when it starts to build, and it's the special buzzwords alone are the beginning.
Okay. I feel like those weren't the best examples, but whatever. Gets the point across.
Days. No, you put it.
I guess what I'm thinking about aren't thought terminating cliches. I guess you kind of brought that up. I'm thinking more of it's a more specific language game, like the I brought up examples before. Another one would be like with RFK, where it's like we need to do more research on safety, and like when you phrase about like needing a positive or not liking a negative, you're like linguistically you almost always have to agree because it sounds insane to disagree with that. We need to test the safety of these vaccines more. Like, who's going to say no to that? Okay, well, fuck, I guess, yeah. But then the reality is, like, well, what are you actually saying? We need to test more. So we need to take something off the market and then test it more? Like, is that what you're saying? Or like, what when you say more, like how much? Like, is there ever going to be, is it a truism? Is that what that is? Like, is there ever going to be a point where we say, okay, this is safe enough, no more safety testing? Like, who's going to fight the other end of that argument? I actually think we don't need to research the safety anymore. It's like, okay, well, yeah.
Back right now, but at least somebody's intentionally going at it, and that I like.
Well, as usual, we're going to agree and disagree. Okay, so the part that I agree with you on is, look, as a Democrat, I'm super frustrated whenever Democrats get into office and they go, there's nothing we can do. Well, then, brother, why do we elect you, right? So don't tell me about the filibuster. Don't tell me about the parliamentarian. Just do your job, right? For Democrats get into office and they go, there's nothing we can do. Well, then, brother, why do we elect you, right? So don't tell me about the filibuster.
But the issue is you don't elect them. That's the issue. Like,
so don't tell me about the parliamentarian. Just do your job. So if the Democrats pass their agenda,
just do your job. Okay, but to do your job, you need votes, right? Isn't that what their job is?
Giant chunks of their agenda are actually very popular. Paid family leave.
Oh, and then we go down the standard Jenks progressive talking points, and again, remember the difference when Charlie Kirk was talking to Gavin Newsom. Charlie Kirk was like, we've identified cohorts of the population. We know the ways that they feel about certain things, and we razor target our messages to appeal to those particular anxieties because we know it's popular with these groups. But progressives always come at this from the other end. I don't know, if it's because progressives just don't care about getting elected, so they have different goals. They don't care about actually exercising political power. But it's always like, here's what we know that we like, and we think that everybody will like it if they just keep hearing about it. We just need to repeat the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And eventually people will like it, right? Rather than identifying, well, what are they actually talking about? What do they actually care about?
Their agenda, giant chunks of their agenda are actually very popular. Paid family leave, universal health care is actually popular, higher wages, etc., right? So when I see Trump taking action, I'm a little envious of how much action he's taking. Even though I might not agree with the action that he's taking, at least I get that he's putting energy behind it. So there I agree with you. But okay. Guys, this is all in prelude to a $4.5 trillion tax cut. So they're going to say, oh, don't worry, we cut this and we cut that so we can afford the $4.5 trillion tax cut. but we can't afford the $4.5 trillion tax cut. And I will tell you this, I will believe that they're really cutting waste, fraud, and abuse the minute they cut a donor program.
Oh.
Okay,
What is a donor program? Ugh, the donor.
Show me an oil subsidy that you cut. Show me something you cut from the drug companies, something that you cut from the bankers, subsidy they shouldn't have gotten, or fraud that they should have been caught on at the Pentagon with the defense contractors, et cetera. Then I'll say, okay, that brother is cutting waste, fraud, and abuse.
Having trouble taking your business to the next level? Financial Yield Solutions, Inc., or FYSI for short, provides tailored solutions for businesses generating $1 to $10 million annually. For tax planning, advertising, and retirement strategies to scaling operations, FYSI helps businesses thrive with $500 billion raised for AI tech under the Trump administration. Businesses cannot afford to be left behind. FYSI can even help you explore AI integration to cut costs and boost profits. With over 14 years of experience, FYSI specializes in solving the exact challenges business owners face. Business owners can book a free business review today to transform their operations, boost profits, and secure their financial future. Visit FYSI.com/Dr. Phil or call 800-877-4000. That's FYSI.com/Dr. Phil or call 800-877-4000.
Okay.
Well, I always hear about this, the rich don't pay taxes. So one of these days I'm going to get rich. Because I damn sure pay taxes. I promise you, I pay a lot of taxes. And I don't know where this tax cut's going to go. They say this is going to be a billionaire tax cut. Is that the deal?
So
I thought they didn't pay taxes anyway.
So it depends. And so actually you're onto something that's important. So
corporations don't pay taxes. Hold on one second. Ooh. Hold on. I'm just curious where the... Oh, there's an organization. Is there a poll on, do economists generally have favorable or disfavorable views of corporate tax? I'm just curious if there's like an IGM poll on this. Wait, is it IGM? Is that what the fucking website was? Fuck! Somebody find it for me. Google corporate tax incidents. Okay, whatever.
Corporations have constantly had
deal.
So
I thought they didn't pay taxes anyway.
So it depends. And so actually you're onto something that's important. So corporations have constantly had their taxes cut, but that's got to go somewhere. So when they cut corporate taxes, they're usually going to then put that on you, Dr. Phil, and a lot of people in the audience.
I'm just curious to hear him talk through this. So when they cut taxes on corporations, what do you think the money goes to? Like, eventually it has to hit some individual's bank account and then they pay income tax on it. This is why I don't just raise the income tax. I don't understand. The only purpose I could see for corporate taxes, corporate income tax, is to encourage investment past some level. Like I would imagine the higher your corporate taxes become, the higher a business is likely to reinvest in their own business because you want to avoid paying corporate taxes on profits. Although the likelihood of investing in the first place might decrease a bit. I don't know where that balances out, but doesn't that create deadweight loss? What's the deadweight loss? What?
And so, and I've seen an early part of the plan. We'll see what their actual details are. but some of the taxes on the middle class actually go up instead of down. So we'll see if they do that. If they do, that'll be trouble, right? So, and do we care about balancing the budget or don't we care about it? Because you can't just say, I want to balance it by cutting malaria programs in Africa and I want to cut this and that. But then, hey, and here's a thing. I mean, you talked about cutting Ukraine and saying, hey, why are we paying for their wars? But we're constantly paying for Israel. Okay, and that's another giant donor class, right? You cut anything that's a donor class, that means you're real. When you're cutting from the average person, the middle class, then I got a problem with it.
Yeah, they're not going to cut any oil or pharma. They're not going to cut.
I would.
There. Oh, well, yeah, of course, as would I. But they're not going to. Okay, do y'all have any questions? Anybody want to ask anything? You already said something. We heard one, then we didn't hear one. Now you want to say something else? Hang on. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Let's get the women involved here. Say your name, first name.
Deetra.
Deetra?
Good evening. Deetra. Yes, sir. You're my mentor, as a matter of fact, in counseling. But what I want to address is the fact that
the tax
Hold on. Let's watch this real quick. 7 minutes. We'll 2X it.
cut bill.
Many provisions of President Trump's signature 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, or TCJA, are separations.
Corporate income tax. Okay, so this isn't even all income tax, just corporate income tax. Gotcha. And investment. For a pass-through entity, you don't pay any corporate taxes, so there would be no corporate tax. Your corporate tax rate is 0% because there's no corporate tax rate. You could argue that you pay 2 times as much for your FICA because now you're covering. It's called. Was this? To expend the benefits of lower tax rates to pass through is a TCJ. A temporary 20% deduction for qualified. What was the qualified pass-through income? Hello? Should I have qualified for this? Wait, what was this? 20% deduction for qualified pass-through income. What was qualified pass-through income? Hello? Wait, hold on. Oh, sorry. I just want to just check it out. 199A tax. Hi, baby. Is this gone? Was this a temporary thing? Understanding the new thing. Okay. 199A allows taxpayers other than corporations a deduction of 20% of qualified business income earned in a qualified trade or business. Subject to certain limitations, the deduction is limited to the greater of 50% of the W-2 wages with respect to the trade or business, and the W-2 wages plus 2.5% deduction. May also not exceed 1 taxable income for the year over to net capital. Okay. Include all trades and businesses except the trade or business of performing services as an employee and specified services such as trades or businesses, those involving the performance or services in law, accounting, financial services, and similar. Business principal asset is the reputation or skill of one or more owner or employees. Meow. Meow. Huh. Effective for taxes beginning after December 31st, 2017 and before January 1st, 2026. Fuck. I'll have to ask what I do about that. Wait. Remember, if you use a pass-through and pay yourself a low salary, the rest can be distribution. Well, yeah, but this 199A exemption is for your federal income tax. You still pay federal income tax on your distributions. You just don't pay the self-employment tax. Meow. Did you see this article yet about Rubio and Musk fighting? We read it at a big news stream. Okay. Sorry. Personally, how it all trickles down. Okay.
the country is so divided. This adds to the division that's taking place, and no one's addressing that. How can I come to work Monday and lose my job on Tuesday? No one's concerned about what's happening with our people, with our America. America, seems like the whole United States is being discombobulated, just broken up.
True.
And no one's addressing that at all. We do want to have not fraud, waste, and abuse. We don't want that happening. But when you talk about veterans like me, senior citizens. You're not being compassionate and caring. And that's not what this country's been built on before.
Ooh,
Yeah,
true.
I hear you. And I think anytime I've been an employer all my life. I think the last job I had was in high school when I worked for Hallmark Cards in Kansas City. They gave me a job 131 feet underground in a warehouse. And it's a good job, actually. I probably should have stayed with that. But anytime that I have to let somebody go or whatever, I really do stop and think, this is a human being that's going to have to go home and tell their family, hey, we don't have a job. They're going to have to say, you know, that trip we were going to take, can't do that. Or that cheerleader uniform you were going to buy, you're going to have to hold off on that. I really think about that every single time.
Not the sexy cheerleader
People
uniform
will say
costume.
that an employer doesn't or whatever, but anybody that cares does. But there's another side to that. We have people in the government that haven't been showing up that have second jobs. I mean, they've been seriously have a whole, I don't mean like they're fixing bicycle flats on the weekend. They got another career. They're working at General Motors and the United States government. And that's probably a small percentage, but we have a lot of people that don't show up and they're not putting in 40 hours or 50 hours a week. And that's waste and fraud. And
that's not waste or fraud, definitionally. I'm trying to think if this is a lie maliciously or if he's just a fucking idiot. Neither of those things are waste or fraud. If you have an employee and he's doing the job you're paying him to do, and he's also able to moonlight a second job, that's just the employee's able to do it. Now, if you want to say that the hours being scheduled aren't appropriate or there should be a higher demand on the job or the compensation should be lower, that's fine. But none of this is like business defined as waste or fraud. It's just you don't like the fact that people are able to do their job quicker and they moonlight other jobs, or you want to change like the rules on it. You can change the rules on it, you can do it, but none of this is waste or fraud or abuse, right?
those people are going to get swept out. But for someone that's actually putting in the time and working and a veteran,
like, you know that like tech employees, like other people do this shit too. There are tech employees that work from home multiple jobs as well, right? Like,
but for someone that's actually putting in the time and working and a veteran, there has to be some kind of way to equal that out.
How does he know this? How is Dr. Phil just casually asserting it as a fact? Because government bad and government waste and fraud and abuse, and we all know the government's at least a little bit wasteful and fraudulent and abuseful, right? Like, that's it. Like, it's a, everybody just believes that's a truism. It's just a thing we all know is true. Government must be wasteful and fraudulent and abuseful, at least a little bit, right? Therefore, then you could just start talking past that without any facts or anything to actually back it up, so.
And I think there have been a lot of buyouts, haven't there been?
There have, and so buyouts are justified because they're making the decision to take that money and retire, no problem. If you find the people that are doing the two jobs, and I believe there are, I think Dr. Phil's right about that, no problem, obviously get them out. But you're right that when we cut for the people that came in the last 18 months, we're not asking that question. And they don't have a second job, they barely got this job, as far as we know, right? So in terms of how to bring the country together, number one, that's what we're trying here tonight, right? So, and we're having an honest conversation. You know, where credit is due, and by the way, discredit where discredit is due, right? And I actually have an ironic way to bring the country together, which is to yell at both sides. Okay, so
freaking epic.
Because in order to get
God,
the change,
that's so freaking
and this
epic.
is again where I think Trump and Dr. Phil, et cetera, are right in what he mentioned earlier, which is sometimes we got to rock the boat a little bit, right? And the status quo is not working for us. And that's what the Democratic Party is not understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so when they keep running on status quo, that's a losing message.
Yeah.
Because we're having a lot of trouble with the status quo, right? And so, but in order to get beyond the status quo, yeah, we're going to have to rock that boat, and it's going to get uncomfortable for some people. But what we want is uncomfortable for the right people, not the wrong people, right? Uncomfortable for the donors, uncomfortable for the people that are rigging the system, uncomfortable for the people doing waste, fraud, and abuse, but not uncomfortable for the guy who just moved his family to Kansas and thought he was getting a job with the government and was really psyched about it and had bought a house, and now all of a sudden the rug is pulled out. Let's do better. Let's do better in figuring. But once you got the bad guys, I don't care if they're Democrats or Republicans. Let's go get them, right? So we got to do that to get you a better situation.
Speaking about bad guys, how do you feel this administration is doing on immigration? Good, bad, indifferent?
Wait. Was that like ironic? Did I miss that? Did I just read that as way more negative than he intended it to be? That sounded like a crazy statement to me. What?
We got to do that to get you a better situation.
Speaking about bad guys, how do you feel this administration is doing on immigration? Good, bad, indifferent? If you think they're doing a good job, raise your hand. Think they're doing a good job, raise your hand. If you think, no, they're not doing a good job, raise your hand. Okay, stand up and tell me your name. We'll get you a microphone. Why are they not doing a good job?
My name is Danny, and I have a problem with a birthright citizen being deported. If a birthright citizen can be deported from this country, there is no one in this audience that cannot be deported with a stroke of a pen.
Okay, and so by birthright citizen, you mean somebody was born here no matter where their parents from?
Yes.
Okay. Do you feel like the focus, and y'all probably know I've worked a lot with Tom Homan. He's going to join us tonight by Zoom.
Guy.
He's going to call in. You can say something to him if you want to. And he'll fight you on it if he disagrees. He's a sweet guy, actually. But he believes in what he believes. But his philosophy has been the worst first. Let's get the criminals off the street. Let's get the pedophiles, the drug dealers, the murderers, the gang members, the bad actors. Let's get them off the streets
That's
first.
freaking epic.
And I know
Holy
that's
shit.
what they're working on because I've been in with them. I've been embedded with them on the streets with them. And I know that's who they're going after. They're not sweeping through neighborhoods. They're not looking for birthright people. They're going after the criminals right now, and they got more of that than I think they can do in 4 years.
What is the purpose of Cenk doing a meta-analysis of the current party's goals? Like, if he believes there should be different messaging towards the people, why doesn't he just do that messaging and gain massive support rather than speak to the people like they're somehow part of the agenda's organizational structure? Well, he doesn't think the Democratic Party is capable of doing that because they're owned by the donors. That's what he thinks.
Are you okay with them going after the criminals?
No, because that's unconstitutional.
Okay,
Ooh.
You're going to have to help me out on that. First off,
you're going to have to help me on that. So I thought criminal bad, and I thought constitutional good. So what do you mean by constitutional? But then you're talking about criminals. But the criminals are bad, and the Constitution is good. So you're gonna have to help me out on that one, Sonny boy. What do you mean by that?
are you guys okay with them going after the criminals? Okay, because I've been with them when they arrested drug dealing, arm dealing criminals.
These guys are selling arms? What the fuck?
Would you like us to get those guys arrested and then turn them loose?
If they're a birthright citizen, they should go through the exact legal process that any American would go through.
No, I'm not saying birthright citizen. I don't care if they're Irish. It wouldn't make any difference to me. But if they're illegal aliens that are in this country and they're violent criminals, you want them taken off the street, right?
Yes.
It doesn't matter if they're blonde and blue-eyed, you want them off the street. But certainly if they're illegal aliens, you have no problem with them being targeted.
Yes, I have no problem with that. I don't know how the conversation took that turn.
Whoa.
Well, I changed the subject.
Got him.
Okay.
I broadened the subject to say beyond, you covered birthright citizens, and then I used you as a prop to go to some other issues.
Yes.
Since you were standing up. Now, I just wanted to ask a broader question. But if they're birthright citizens, you think they should be tried and imprisoned in the U.S.?
Yes, I believe we should follow the Constitution.
Yeah, okay.
Nice.
And I don't think that's constitutional, but nonetheless.
You don't think it's constitutional due process? Or what? What? Okay.
Birthright citizenry is.
Well,
that's not a gray area.
Where they go to prison, as long as they go to prison, I don't care. As long as
Well, I don't think it would be constitutional if we deported U.S. citizens to prisoners in other countries. But okay, Dr. Phil.
If they're taken off the street.
And I'm okay with that as well.
Yeah. Okay. I got you.
So just to be clear, birthright citizens want them to stay here. The great majority of Americans agree with that. If they commit a crime, they go to prison, but they stay here. But if they're not born here, they're not citizens, and they're criminals, all of you are saying, okay, let's send them back. Once, by the way, they've served their time, because they should get justice right here in America, and then you send them back. So do you agree with all that?
Yes.
Right. So I think, Dr. Phil, where the rubber hits the road is what happens once we get past the criminals who are undocumented immigrants?
Well, that's what I was saying. I think there's a lot to be done on that.
That's a good question.
Getting quality sleep can be a struggle.
What was the answer, though?
Beyond feeling tired, poor sleep affects focus at work, patience with loved ones, and leaves you constantly drained.
True.
Finding a solution is key.
What's the
That's
solution?
where Beam's Dream Powder comes in. This healthy hot cocoa has completely transformed sleep for many. With flavors like cinnamon cocoa, sea salt caramel, and brownie batter, each serving is only 15 calories and 0 grams of sugar. Guilt-free and effective. Dream's all-natural ingredients help you fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer, and wake up feeling refreshed. It's easy to add to a nighttime routine. Just mix it with hot water or milk before bed. If you want to try Beam's best-selling Dream Powder, get up to 40% off for a limited time when you go to shopbeam.com/Dr. Phil and use code Dr. Phil at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/Dr. Phil and use code Dr. Phil for up to 40% off.
Damn.
What do you wish the president and this administration would focus on more than they are so far? Is there something they haven't gotten to yet?
Cutting the Pentagon?
Ooh.
Cutting the Pentagon. Okay. Yes, ma'am. We'll talk about that too.
Dr. Phil's like, we don't
Say
care about that
again?
one right now.
Sarah, working with pharma to reduce the prices of drugs. I work in the I work in a PBM, and we have to negotiate those rates with pharma. And if pharma keeps having the advantage and gets to call what the price is, then we have no chance here.
Do you think RFK Jr. is going to focus on that?
Yes, I do.
Thank God.
I hope so.
Yeah, he's going to join us tonight via Zoom also.
Okay.
And
Good.
I've talked to him a lot, and he's going to make it where you can negotiate prices with Big Pharma, which is
Holy shit. Uh-oh, what's going on? Uh-oh. Wait, that's a crazy good idea. They're going to make it so you can negotiate prices with pharmaceuticals? That's an insane idea. Meow. Hi. What do you want? What? I'm petting you. Hi.
spooky.
That was Big Pharma.
Yeah.
It was the donor
More
class.
powerful than you realize.
Yeah. But yeah, does everybody agree that you should be able to negotiate pharmaceutical prices? Everybody agree with that? Raise your hand real high. Okay. Anybody disagree with that? Okay. I mean, this is a free market, right? You should be able to negotiate Big Pharma.
True.
Yeah, listen, that's where I would tell my friends on the left, if they do that and they negotiate drug prices, then
Like Biden did? Or did we just ignore that? Oh, we're just ignoring the facts. I forgot. My bad.
they deserve a tremendous amount of credit. Because, you know, Democratic and Republican presidents, including Trump in his first term, promised to do it and didn't do it.
Oh.
Including Obama. He promised to do it and didn't do it.
So Biden didn't actually negotiate some of these drug prices. Did I say Biden? My bad. Negotiating for lower drug prices works, saves billions. In a historic moment that will help lower prescription drug prices for millions of people across America, the Biden-Harris administration announced that it has reached agreements for new lower prices for all 10 drugs selected for negotiations. These negotiated drugs are some of the most expensive and most frequently dispensed drugs in the Medicare program and are used to treat conditions such as heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. The new prices will go into effect for people with Medicare Part D prescription drug coverage beginning January 1st, 2026. Wow. People with Medicare prescription drug coverage are expected to see aggregated estimated savings of $1.5 billion in their personal out-of-pocket costs in 2026. Huh. That's crazy. I wish they would have done this, like the news article says they did.
So if they promise to do it and they do it, then I'll give them all the credit in the world, but they actually got to do it.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And the fact that we're paying more for health care and delivering the lowest quality health care.
Wait. Uh-oh. Court update. Did, minute order. As discussed at yesterday's hearing, the court believes it would be helpful to leave additional information to serve as benchmarks in assessing feasibility and reaching compliance with the TRO. These benchmarks will allow the court to continue to provide clarity as to what is needed for compliance with the TRO while ensuring that due regard is given to feasibility. As parties discuss, such benchmarks will be pertinent to the court's consideration of any relief to Greek grant. The defendants are currently not able to provide information regarding the number of payments processed for plaintiffs as it relates to defendants paragraph 10 and part. It's just not going to happen, huh? Nothing is going to happen. Like, what? So they're going to have to, the court is going to have to create some benchmark program to see what's getting paid out. Like, this is just not going to happen. When is the hearing for the preliminary injunction? Like, I'm surprised we're just not up to that timeline yet. The party shall confer and file a brief joint status report by 5 p.m. today addressing whether such requests have been enabled. The oral argument was yesterday. Are any of them public, or? Why doesn't Biden get Vyvanse lowered? You don't like paying $1,200? My $1,200 payments for my 90 days of Vyvanse feels good, man. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, nothing yet. Whatever.
Out of developed countries is an embarrassment.
Embarrassment.
It's a shame. You know, there are 50 countries in the world where a mother has a better chance of surviving childbirth than in America.
My goodness.
There are 50 countries where the baby has a better chance of surviving than in America. That is shameful.
And thank God we're going to be making this better because Trump wants to cut every fucking regulation and everything related to insuring people and related to safety for healthcare and everything. Nice. Good job.
Absolutely shameful. And then we pay more for we pay more for pharmaceuticals than, I mean, you can go to Detroit and drive across one bridge and pay a tenth for something that you get in America. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely.
To Detroit to Canada? I don't know how far north Detroit is. Holy shit, I didn't even know. That's Canada? Oh my God. Bro, it's right there. What the fuck? Wait, what happens in this part of Canada? Why I never hear about this? They got another London over here? What happens on this little... Would this even count as a peninsula? No, it wouldn't because it's connected here. It's Windsor and it's trash. No wonder Trump wants to take this shit over. What the fuck? Well, you won't be able to cross easily for much longer. Don't worry.
Ridiculous.
We're having this trade war with Canada. Can we just solve it by them sending the cheap drugs to us? Right? And by the way, they're the same exact drugs. They're not any cheaper. They just cost less, right? They're the same drugs. Guys, again, the pharmaceutical companies in this country have a strangle-lock in Washington. Washington is occupied by all these corporate donors.
The donor, not a drink.
To the point that Dr. Phil was making, what kind of capitalism is this where you can't negotiate drug prices? I mean, I've never heard of this in a free market where the guys selling you the product say you have to pay this. It's unheard of. The only reason that they're doing it is crony capitalism. So where they pay off the politicians. And so why didn't Obama do it? And why didn't Trump do it in his first term?
Why didn't Biden do it?
They go to
Biden
Congress,
didn't do
even if
any
they
of it.
mean well. Even
Say
if they
it.
mean well. They
Say
go to
it.
Congress, and almost everybody in Congress is bought. They
By the donors.
get so much money from the drug companies, and that's what we got to shine a spotlight on. To your point, like, yes, we've got to bring us together. We've got to bring us together, but sometimes we got to do it in an aggressive way. Which one of you guys are all taking money from pharma, and which one of you are blocking capitalism and the free market and keeping drug prices so high we can't afford them, and people are dying because of that?
Fucking A.
Yeah.
There we go. We got it. We got it.
agree more. I couldn't agree more. It's shameful. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Stand up. We'll bring you a microphone. Say your first name.
Hi, my name is Valerie. I think that if we started with term limits, we wouldn't have lifelong politicians. That then we wouldn't have all of these companies, including the pharmaceuticals, in the politicians' pockets. So if we started with that,
because the only reason they can buy out, I just wish they would ask like one question. Oh, okay. So it's because they're lifelong politicians that Big Pharma can buy them out. Can you explain to me why it's easier to buy out a lifelong politician versus buying out a like somebody who has to run every 2 years or 6 years? Like what makes one easier than not? Just curious. Well, you see.
we can start to weed some of the corruption out. We also need to get all of the pharmaceuticals off of TV. They do not need to be every other commercial. They don't need to be on the Super Bowl.
That's always the weirdest thing when Europeans come to America, and then when they say we have drugs on TV. It's a very American thing, I think. We might be one of the only countries in the world where drugs are advertised on television.
And that's a good start, but I agree, and I'm a huge Trump fan, but I really think that that is the way to get rid of the corruption with the pharmaceutical.
That would certainly help. How many agree with that? If we had term limits where people couldn't get bought forever? Yeah, okay.
So I'll just say something real quick about that. If you're wondering why all of our politicians are so old, like Mitch McConnell freezes in a press conference, you know, Biden's brain fell out in a debate, right? So, but Pelosi, all these guys so old because the donors get a.
The reality is because old people vote for him. Old likes old. You think some dude who's 75 years old is voting for some young 50-year-old whippersnapper? If we want to solve this problem, here's the deal. Here's the deal you make with America. Social Security, the age is going to be lowered to 60. You can start getting Social Security even earlier if you want, but as soon as you start collecting Social Security, we're taking care of you now. Shut the fuck up. You don't get to vote anymore. Hell yeah. Fucking A. He's getting Social Security. He ain't voting anymore. And he has to test every year for a driver's license. Get him off the road. Get him out of the ballot booth. Fuck these old people.
Return on investment. And they know that's stable. Whenever I go back to Biden and McConnell, I'm going to get my money's worth. And so that's why they keep buying them over and over and over again. That's why they're so old. So I hear you on term limits. I would say also money out of politics. I mean, that's the biggest thing there is. That's the number one way that they purchase
money in
these
politics. Hell yeah.
See, I have a theory, and I wonder how you guys feel about this. And I'm going to ask you that in just a minute, but I want to hear from you first. Say your first name.
Helen.
All right, Helen.
And I think one of the problems is there's no kickbacks, there's no paying to aggressively teach healthy living, healthy eating, healthy habits. Pharmaceuticals
We get it. You like watching RFK. Thank you for saying that. But believe it or not, the health and wellness industry is like a multi-billion-dollar fucking industry. So unfortunately, probably because you're old, you're just fucking retarded. That's not true. tons of people are making money right now talking about health and fitness and being vegan and keto and all the other fucking retarded shit that people talk about now. It's a booming fucking industry.
Depend upon us living unhealthy. If we lived healthy lifestyles, we wouldn't have to depend upon pharmaceuticals.
True. Hold on, let me get my food. 1 second. Why assume the audience is interested in or understands the internal workings of party messaging strategy, and if Jane believes in a different approach, why isn't he simply using it to gain support? Isn't he using that different approach to gain support? What do you mean? I have no issue with going after billionaires for the net gain. Is more my policy positions being acted, even if I don't agree, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
And that's where we would be us living unhealthy. If we lived healthy lifestyles, we wouldn't have to depend upon pharmaceuticals. And that's where we would be getting the prices down because there wouldn't be the need for them. Every doctor's, I'm on one prescription, I'm 76 years old. Okay. Now, I take supplements, I try to eat healthy, I try to live healthy. But the pharmaceuticals not making much money on me. And if that was taught from government level down, that would be something that would get the pharmaceuticals in line because they would have to negotiate.
Yeah, good point. But I tell you what, if you go to an insurance company and say we want to teach stress management and healthy living, no, we don't want to talk prevention.
Don't a lot of insurance companies literally have built-in mechanisms for if you take a stupid fucking diet course, or if your weight is below, or if you're not a smoker or whatever, then they charge you less? Isn't this literally a thing that every single fucking insurance company in the world does? What?
Even though it makes sense. Yes, ma'am. Stand up. We'll bring you a microphone.
Hi, my name is Marjorie, and I want to talk about the Doge.
I just got real. I was like, wait, hold on for a second here. This lady sounds a whole lot like Pelosi. Or I'm sorry, she looks a whole lot like Pelosi, right?
Stand
I'm not
up,
crazy,
we'll
am
bring
I?
you a microphone.
I just got super mindfucked.
Hi, my name is Marjorie, and I want to talk about the Doge. The money that we're just wasting, the money that's being stolen, the money that's being laundered. Everybody's screaming about what they're doing, but nobody is doing anything. How long are we going to let them rob the bank? And instead of us saying, yeah, let's find out who's robbing the bank, we yell at the people who caught the people who were robbing the bank.
Oh my God.
And that's what we're doing. Everybody's mad because they don't want Trump to be the one to find the people who are laundering money, stealing money, all this kind of stuff. But nobody is doing anything about it. I'm concerned about Social Security. I'm concerned that they have all these people on the Social Security list
who are dead,
that don't exist or that are dead or all this kind of stuff. We need to recover the money. But people are so concerned about who recovers. Democrats don't want him to get the credit for recovering the money. So they're yelling and screaming. It's like somebody's painting the wall and somebody's standing in the background saying, you missed the spot. You missed the spot. But you're not painting the wall. So we need somebody to recover this money. We're $37 trillion in debt. And we have money just going out the window, billions of dollars. We wouldn't need Tunnel to Towers. We wouldn't need Wounded Warriors Project if the government would stop wasting the money and treat our soldiers like they treat people all over the world who do not deserve our tax money.
Wow.
Yeah. That's the real deal.
I agree.
That's the real deal.
I agree. Feeling the pinch of medication shortages and rising prices?
Yeah.
Well, you're not alone. When the pharmacy shelves are empty, it's a scary place to be. Benjamin Franklin said it best.
I know he's not about to start selling me pharmaceuticals, right?
By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. Your health is too important to leave to chance. That's why you need Jace Case. Jace Case is your lifesaver, an emergency supply of essential prescription medicine.
Wait, please have ivermectin. Where is it? He's going to say it. Essential medicines like penicillin, amoxicillin, antibiotics, and hydroxychloroquine, and ivermectin. Please say it, please say it, please say it.
Medications that you order before you need them. When life throws a curveball, be it supply chain hiccups, natural disasters, or a closed doctor's office, you won't be left scrambling. Having these vital medications on hand gives you control over your health. In today's unpredictable world, that peace of mind is priceless. Take control. Be prepared with Jace Case. Just go to jace.com and enter promo PHIL at checkout. That's promo code PHIL at JASE.com to have the right meds on hand the moment you need them.
Oh, he didn't mention it? I wonder if they have it on their website. Standard. No allergies. Yes, we got azithromycin. That's our good one. We need that one. Amoxicillin. Okay, we got our antibiotics. Okay. Also, by the way, this is just super gross to be selling antibiotics like this and then printing fucking prescriptions for it. This shit is like creating super duper bacteria. But wait, can I must be able to get more, right? Select add-ons. You're gonna make me scroll for it? I know you got it. I know you got it in here. I know. Yes. Yes, king shit. Yes. Because parasites is such a huge issue in the United States. Yes. Let's go. Oh my God, they sell them in bulk. King, yes. Okay, that's all I needed.
I have a theory. I'll tell you my theory, and you can think about this and tell me if you agree. I have a theory because
Without a prescription? These websites will usually issue a prescription. Like, I think because antibiotics are like schedule what? Are they? Wait, no, scheduled drugs are narcotics, right? I think it's like a drug you need a prescription for, but it's not like a schedule. It's not like a DEA control. It's not a controlled substance. No, it is a controlled substance, right? Or it's controlled? I don't remember. It's not a big deal to get a prescription for it, basically. You can get one online trivially. And then buy as much as you want. I
spent a lot of my career studying why people do what they do and don't do what they don't do. And think about that.
Yeah.
If you figure out why people do what they do and don't do what they don't do, then you got a real leg up on the world.
Wow.
Seriously, think about that. If you understand motivation, why people do what they do, you got a real leg up.
Okay.
And my theory is this. We've got non-problem solvers cast in the role of solving problems. The people that we have in Washington, D.C. and other places charged with solving problems aren't motivated to solve the problems. That's not what they want to do. They don't want to solve the problems. They have a theory that, okay, if I solve this problem,
if I solve the problem, people are going to get rid of all the government.
I worked myself out of a job. You know, Samuel L. Jackson, the actor, is a friend of mine.
Yeah, this is actually a huge concern in the 90s. The politicians, they'd actually gotten so close to solving every single problem in society. And they were like, holy shit, we're about to abolish the whole government because everything is solved. World peace, every eradication of every single disease. Children were popping out of vaginas with PhDs. All the food was being grown and there was just no like livestock pesticide, or there was no like disease or plague or bacteria or anything. And then they had to slow down and they were like, fuck, we're getting fucked right now. Okay, we need to keep all these bad things happening so that we can keep getting paid.
Oh. Samuel L. Jackson, the
What did he
actor,
say?
is a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And he says, my theory is every time I start a movie, I'm working myself out of a job. And so I gotta have my agent have me 2 movies lined up before I start this one. And if he doesn't, I'm gonna fire his ass. Because
wait, what?
Every time I start, I'm working myself out of a job. I think these people think if I solve these problems, they don't need me anymore.
Does that analogy work here at all? Wait, what? Is Samuel Jackson worried that he's going to make such a great movie that all of movies will end? It will be such kino, there's just no more movies to be made anymore?
They're not really, we got non-problem solvers in the role of solving problems. And that's where I think term limits could make sense. It's like, was it Gates that gave a bunch of money and said, this charity's going to last 25 years or something, then I'm shutting it down. So if you think this is just going to give everybody a job forever, it's not. This is over in 20 years or whatever it was he said. So you got X amount of time to use this money to fix these problems, and then it's gone.
Okay. In 25 years, it's for homeless children. Get the fuck out of here. You guys haven't found places to live yet? 4-year-olds getting tossed onto the street.
That's what we've got to tell these people. You either fix these or we'll get somebody in here who will, because you ain't going to be here forever.
You know that's like what we already do, right? Where we have elections. Like you can vote for somebody else. Like you're allowed to do that, right?
And that's a problem.
Let me build on that, because I agree with that completely. And then on top of that, guys, it requires a different skill set to get elected than to govern.
Oh,
right?
Does it ever?
Yeah, so the skill set to get elected is be a charmer, be a schmoozer, and that was in the past, a little bit still today, right? But once you get past the things that we all pay attention to, the presidential level, like we all see that. But the congressional level, we almost never see, right? And those guys are not even charming or schmoozers. 95% of the time, the person with more money wins. Doesn't matter if they're a Republican, doesn't matter if they're Democrat, liberal, conservative, nothing matters but the
Oof, that definitely was not true for a lot of progressive candidates, but okay.
Money 19 out of 20 times, right? So their skill set is collect money from donors, serve donors. When you go to govern, your skill set should be serve the voters. But we elected the wrong guys, because we elected the guys who want to serve the donors. That's why I say term limits, sure, but we've got to get big money out of politics. If we don't, they're going to be serving those guys forever and ever and ever.
True.
Yeah, they're bought and paid for.
Yep.
Okay, I think we got time for one more, and then we'll switch over because they're starting to file in. But we're not going to let you miss anything. We got it on a clock, and we're going to switch in time, so don't worry about it.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Shakira, and I want to add to what you just said, because earlier when you asked how do we think it's going the first 45 days, and that's exactly what I was thinking about. It's going as expected in my eyes, because we know who we had 8 years ago. We know exactly what we were working with, and so it's going exactly as expected, and then some. And so it's been prophetically spoken. We know exactly what was to come. And so unfortunately, we're dealing with the aftermath. And we have people in office, people that are working, that are not really for their own, that are not really for others, they're really for themselves. And so until people recognize that, hey, we need to be able to look out for others, we need to take a look at every view, opposed to just throwing.
I still don't know who she supports right now. I think she's against Trump, maybe?
Stuff out there. This is what we're working with.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, you're so right.
Oh, no, she likes Trump.
And you're saying the same thing, Shakira. There's a different skill set between getting elected and serving. But you have so many IOUs by the time you get in the job, it's like, whoa. I sold my soul to get the job, but now I feel like I need to do the job, but I sold my soul, because everybody that put up all that money, they're now sitting out in the waiting room saying, all right, Jack, I got you elected. Now it's your time to pay off. And it's tough. It's tough, but if you get the money out, but what you said is empirically true. Is there a race where the one that spent the least has won?
Yeah. Way back in, was it 2024? Kamala Harris against Donald Trump? I think those are the two candidates.
In the last 100 years?
Yes, it's 95% of the time the person with more money wins.
Who was it?
So I started a group called Just Democrats, and almost all of them, and some of you might or might not like some of the folks in there, but AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, etc. But those folks had less money, and they won anyway. And by the way, the reason they had less money.
Wait a second. You got 4 people elected to Congress on money that you raised? Doesn't that make Cenk the donor class?
Again, you might disagree on some social issues, but they didn't take any corporate PAC money. So at least they're honest. So it's in the same Bernie Sanders wing where at least we're being honest about where we're coming from, agree or disagree, right? But it's very hard to do.
But has there been a president that spent less money on a presidential election?
Donald Trump.
There you go.
Well, okay, that's true, but he didn't have to buy media because
that's exactly right.
He brought
yes.
the circus to town.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, the Democrats don't understand that. Try to be interesting, right? I mean, especially at the presidential level where we're having not a money battle because Trump is winning with less money than Hillary Clinton or Kamala Harris.
But more media.
But way more media. And so the Democrats even to this day, they have this crazy idea that is like now leading within Democratic circles in Congress of let's just do nothing and wait for the Republicans to hurt themselves.
But what was that idiot?
My God, do something, be interesting, be exciting, fight for your voters.
What was that idiot drill we were watching today? They were doing, we were on the news, they were running that new ad campaign they had.
Oh, yeah. So they're talking about how they all have the same talking point they got from a Democratic consultant and about how, they're for their billionaire buddies and we're for you guys. Yes, but I wish you were, right? So like what the Democrats need to understand is your policy, in my opinion, your policies are pretty good on economic stuff, right? But you've got to actually do them. If you don't do them, you don't get any credit for them. So don't tell me what a Democratic consultant told you to say. I mean, you're talking about billionaire buddies, brothers. You guys have billionaire buddies too. Who are you kidding? That is why the one thing that Joe Biden said that was fundamentally true was when he said to his donors, nothing will fundamentally change. And that's what this room is saying. No, we don't want that. We don't want the status quo. And then sometimes folks like Trump, they upset the status quo a little too much, a little too aggressively, a little wrong in the wrong direction.
What you called a minute ago, crony capitalism?
Yeah.
Is that your term?
No, I didn't invent it, but yeah, but it's also called corporatism and crony capitalism. That's when corporations capture the government and have the government do their bidding instead of our bidding.
Wow.
Yeah. I wish you had said that first. I'd steal it from you. Because that's exactly what it is. It's crony capitalism. They're just paying off their cronies, and they have to do it. But what do you guys think about all the executive orders that were signed? Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
Base.
If doing the things he did by executive order was a good thing to break the stalemate, raise your hand. If you think that's a good thing, raise your hand real high so the camera can see it so we can kind of count them later.
There we go.
If you think, no, that's too much like being a king, raise your hand. That bothered some of you, but not too many. But you're okay with some of them.
Yeah, so I like the action.
Wow, Dev, thanks for the host.
But some of the executive orders are crazy, like ending birthright citizenship, things that they ran on inflation, they ran on controlling the border. So when they go to do that, most people are going to agree that's what they voted for. But when they start taking away rights through executive orders, it's too much.
Yeah.
Wow. End. Okay. Wait, was there another press conference today that I missed? This is at 3:10 p.m. Did this happen? I just forgot it.
President, since you last spoke about it yesterday, some details have come out about your cabinet meeting with Elon Musk and some clashes potentially between Secretary Rubio and Secretary
No clash. I was there. You're just a troublemaker. And you're not supposed to be asking that question because we're talking about the World Cup.
Ooh. Not supposed to be asking that question.
Elon gets along great with Marco, and they're both doing a fantastic job. There is no clash.
Mr. President, bottom line.
Who are you with? Who are you with?
Oh, now you're targeted. I'm sorry. Who do you work for, motherfucker? One sec. Hey, Pam, hold on. I want cases on all these motherfuckers. I'm about to give you a media entity name. Hold on 1 second. He's just lying. Say, I work for, I think it's called One American News Network. OANN. That's who I am.
No wonder.
Who do you say?
Who are you with? Who are you with?
NBC.
NBC. Get him out of here. Into the hallway with AP and Reuters. Right into the trash can. Bloop.
No wonder.
Mr. President,
NBC.
who has more authority, Elon Musk or your cabinet secretary?
Any other questions? About the World Cup?
Can we unveil the trophy, maybe?
I'd love to
Because this is something.
Oh yeah, let's go do.
About the World Cup?
What did he?
Can we unveil the trophy, maybe?
Unveil the trophy thing? Is that what he said?
I'd love to.
Because this is something, Mr. President.
Yeah, how long until Trump installs like a trap door in the Oval Office? Come up here to ask a question. Is it really true that you did this? Gone. Next. President Trump. It's been reported that you're the bravest man in the entire country. Next. President Trump. It's been reported that you're the bravest man in the whole world. Yes, go ahead. Talk to me. Is it really true that... Okay.
Private and public sector gets tax cuts when you hire a person of color.
Wait, is there a full video of this?
But when a child dies of leukemia,
Fuck. Sam Cedar. I want to see this one.
Government agencies don't pay taxes. Government agencies.
Wait, what did this guy say? Hold on.
Private and public sector gets tax cuts when you hire a person of color.
Wait, where is that tax cut at? How do I qualify for that one? I'm pretty sure I got a couple of weird looking names on my payroll. I'm pretty sure these motherfuckers are not white. I want my tax cut. What?
Government agencies don't pay taxes. Government agencies are funded by the government.
That is not true. That is not true.
And same with xenophobic national. Like, what's the problem with xenophobic nationalism? Don't you think that's better for Americans in general? Like
xenophobic nationalism is better.
We should have a coherent culture.
You and I have a fundamental disagreement. We will never see eye to eye on this. Hi, I'm Sam Cedar, host of the Majority Report, and today I am surrounded by 20 conservatives.
Fucking
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wait,
that was
how did he deny
mistakes?
Don't ruin it with Emma, please, God. Okay.
That Elon was like saluting or
Holy shit, we know this guy.
do you think that Elon was like saluting or doing a Nazi salute? Oh, Elon Musk was not doing
Wait, isn't this is an older one, isn't it? Or
the Nazi salute. Okay, will you do it? Yes, as I did it actually at USC. I said, my name was Elon Musk and I love all of you in this crowd
oh my God, I hate this guy so much.
out here today. You put your hand on your chest and then do it us? I just did it. That's not what he did. Okay, so let's do it again, Parker. Can you do it with me? Yeah. Let's do it. I think it's a Nazi salute. Well, mirror it with me. Hi, everybody. I'm so glad from the bottom of my heart you are here, and thank you all for being here today. Do you want me to show you a video of this doing it?
He debated him yesterday? Oh, that was from an event yesterday?
Hey everyone, I'm at California State University Northridge, and there's supposed to be a Turning Point event today where Charlie Kirk is going to Good.
Holy shit. Wait, have you ever smoked so much weed or like such intense weed that this is what it looks like in real life? You ever had this happen before? Wait, like this? Oh.
Good.
We're like trying to get the deaf people to see all the interpreters, so I've yet to see or hear.
Dude, oh my.
I don't go to school anymore. All right, we have a familiar face. You go to school here, Parker? No, I don't. You know, where do you go to school? I don't go to school anymore. I graduated. So you traveled from where to be here?
From Los Angeles.
Okay, welcome. We have a familiar face from Jubilee. Parker, welcome, and the mic is yours.
Yeah, can I ask do you think that Elon was like saluting or doing a Nazi salute?
Well, you didn't even say hello, man.
Oh, sorry. Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Parker. How are you? No, Elon Musk was not doing the Nazi salute.
Okay, will you do it?
Yes, as I did it actually at USC. I said, my name was Elon Musk, and I love all of you. I only got like one other question because we got a long line, but okay.
You think slavery at all points in history was wrong?
You asked the same question. We only got a long line, but okay.
You think slavery at all points in history was wrong?
Do you think slavery at all points in history was wrong?
But okay.
You think slavery at all points in history was wrong?
That's what he's saying, right? Do you think slavery at all points in history was wrong?
You asked the same question at Jubilee, but yes, you did actually. So what is my answer?
Well, you'd have to say yes, because in Leviticus 25, 44 through 46, God says you can own people as slaves and pass them down to your children as inherited property for life.
Okay.
In Exodus 21, 20 through 21, God says you can beat those slaves so far as they recover after a day or two.
So let's talk. We want to talk about chattel slavery versus what it actually. So what is the word slave in Hebrew?
I don't know about that.
It's Eved, right? Or my Jewish friends in the audience, by the way. Yeah. Am I right? Is it Eved in Hebrew? Right? So what the Torah did was the first ever historical document that led to the abolition of slavery. Do you know that slaves were actually mentioned in the Ten Commandments?
You want to respond to those two verses that I just mentioned?
Well, yes, and by the way, do you know in the New Testament, which is the completion of the entire Bible, slavery is explicitly said as evil and immoral. So if we have to...
It's okay though. But back then, with the New Testament, was it okay back then?
Well, please understand, in the Levitical law, right, that it was not that it was condoning slavery, right? It was making the steps...
Wait, what's the commandment against slavery? I'm sorry, I just had to look this up. Did I forget one? No other gods before me. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. Remember the Sabbath. Honor your mother and father. You shall not murder. No adultery. No stealing. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife or his manservant or maidservant, his ox or donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. Is he trying to stretch that like either 7 or 10? Like slavery is a form of stealing?
Towards the abolition of slavery, which you can even acknowledge that Christianity helped abolish slavery, right? You know who Wilbur Wilberforce is? William Wilberforce?
21, 21.
Who is
God says you shall not be punished if you beat them so far as they recover after a day or two.
Hold on,
so you're saying that they shall not be punished?
That is taken out of context.
No, it's not.
So
the verse. So read it.
Who is William Wilberforce?
Read the verse. Go read
So
it.
William Wilberforce was a Christian minister who used the Bible as a justification to abolish slavery. Another Levitical law says
there's people who've used the Bible. This is a dumb argument.
Shall never kidnap another individual and bring them to your land, which is otherwise known as chattel slavery. So anybody who ever used the Bible to justify slavery was going against the scripture. Finally, we as Christians believe, no it's not, the Bible has...
What does Leviticus 25, 44, 46 say?
Again, as I would say, it was talking to a primitive people that led to the abolition of slavery, which it did so successful. But we also, as Christians, believe that we are all set free in Christ Jesus, and that we are all set free of slavery. And I hope, Parker, one day that you can give your life to Jesus, because you seem like someone that is seeking truth, and there is a God who loves you, and he sent his only son, Jesus Christ. Whoever gives his life to Jesus will live forever. Last question, Parker.
So if they beat their slaves back then, insofar as they recover after a day or two, they shall not be punished?
No, again, taking the verse in context of the times and what it led to, which was the abolition of slavery, it was talking to a primitive people where slavery was the norm and it was accepted, and that never before had anyone even challenged the idea of slavery. Finally,
answer the question.
No, I'm talking about it at it directly because it's a far more
shall they not be punished back then?
Far more complex than what you're getting at. And you would have to acknowledge the Bible led to the abolition of slavery. Parker,
I want you,
so
I know
much
you
for
want to
being
address
here.
that, but you want to address
Let's get to some of our students here today.
Answer the question.
Thank you, Parker, so much. appreciate it. The Bible led towards the abolition of slavery, an irrefutable fact.
So shall they be punished or not?
Of course, as it says in the New Testament, that slavery is wrong.
Exodus 28.
Thank you, Parker. We'll get to the next question. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm curious why of all the questions he could have argued him on, why a religious debate?
Thank you, Parker.
Of course.
I hope you'll give your life to Jesus. Thank you. Can't hear what you're saying. Thank you. Next question.
Hopefully you and Parker can get like a round 2 debate. I enjoyed the Jubilee video.
Thank you. We're good, Parker. Thank you.
You don't want to debate later?
Guys, you have to.
No, we're good. I got others. You don't go to school here.
No, I meant like later, a different day on the podcast.
I can't hear you.
A different day on the podcast. Let's debate.
Thanks.
No?
We're good.
You're scared?
I only debate people in good faith. You came up here.
How am I not
you
in
asked
good faith?
2 sloppy questions. We're done.
How are they sloppy?
You seem like someone that is seeking truth.
How are you going to run away like this, bro?
Well, do you want to have Parker? Do you want to mend the hat?
I don't take hats that support rapists.
I'm sorry?
I don't take hats that
you don't
support
hats from a rapist?
No, I don't support hats that support rapists.
Oh, you know, so you...
Is Parker playing this correctly, or would you do anything really? I don't know. I don't know if I'd ever have a religious debate publicly. Also, it's not like my biblical scholarship is fucking amazing after being out of school for 30 fucking years. But I don't know how you could ever... Also, just as a thing, it's the same thing when you argue history. Listen, if you want to do this, if anybody wants to do this, okay? If you want to argue something about religion, you have to come with more than just one quote from a book in the Bible. The books in the Bible, it's not long. It doesn't take long to read through. Like books in the Bible. Like, if you want to pick out a story, like I'm pretty sure there are stories of slavery in the New Testament. New Testament slavery stories. Fuck. I thought in Ephesians, I thought there was one written about from the perspective of a slave. I don't fucking remember, bro. But like, just read the whole book and then you can talk about it. Trying to quote snipe like 1 or 2 quotes is like not. Corinthians, Ephesians. Ephesians chapter 6. Oh, even this is only like 4 lines. Slaves, obey your earthly masters with respect and fear, and with sincerity of heart, just as you would obey Christ. Obey them, not only to win their favor when their eye is on you, but as slaves of Christ, doing the will of God from your heart. Serve wholeheartedly, as if you were serving the Lord, not people, because you know that the Lord will reward each one of whatever good they do, whether they are slave or free. And masters, treat your slaves in the same way. Do not threaten them, since you know that he who is both their master and yours is in heaven, and that there is no favoritism with him. I think there are longer stories about slaves, but like I don't remember any part of the New Testament ever being against slavery. Like it just wasn't. The reason why he's bringing up this argument is that you're getting into like autistic religious arguments, but most all of the Abrahamic religions, I believe, are going to believe that the morality is a thing that's held constant from the beginning of the universe to the end. Morality doesn't change from year to year or from society to society. There should be one consistent set of morals that's commanded by God himself. And so if it was at one point in the Bible morally acceptable to have slaves, it doesn't make sense that nowadays it's not morally acceptable. Why would God's moral law change? That's generally Abrahamic people or the Abrahamic religions aren't like moral relativists. They would be moral absolutists. And they would believe in the universality of them as well, right? They would not change and they would apply to all people. That's what he was trying to get at, right? So if the Bible gives you commands about how to treat slaves or what to do with slavery at some point in time, why would slavery all of a sudden become immoral unless God's laws have changed? And obviously, especially if you believe in any type of like Christian God, that's not really possible. Charlie Kirk was trying to make some argument about how like, oh, well, those people were primitive, but that doesn't make sense. I'm pretty sure is it Old Testament tribes of Or, I mean, we can look at the story of Moses, right? You can't say that, well, those people are primitive and that's why God flooded the cities or whatever, because, or we would say that, like, God flooded the cities because they weren't believing in his moral laws. They weren't following his moral laws, not because they were primitive, so they got a whole bunch of slack on it, right? That doesn't make any sense. But there's like a whole autistic religious debate argument. I don't know why you would ever have, there's just too much and nobody cares, so.
Slave in Hebrew.
That was before Moses? The Egypt story shit? Well, that was during Moses, wasn't it? And then after that happened, because wasn't that Moses going up and telling the Pharaoh, like, the plagues are going to come and fuck your ass if you don't let my people go? And then they raped all the goats and they painted everything, and then the plague came and fucked everybody over. And then he was like, okay, fine, get the fuck out. Oh, yeah, the flood was before Moses. I'm sorry. It's not. I wasn't thinking of the flood. I was thinking of the plagues in Egypt. My bad. But the flood is another example of, apparently God didn't think those people were too primitive, right? Why didn't he flood the earth? When God did the first flood, why didn't he flood and get rid of slavery too, right? Shouldn't he have done that? What do you use for picture-in-picture? I don't use picture-in-picture. I just use OBS.
I don't have a phone. It's Ebed, right? Or am I?
But I mean, like, if I was going to do this debate, I would just try to read up on, I would do it just, you could probably spend like 30 minutes to an hour just researching like stories of slavery in the Bible and then go from there, I guess. But also, fuck, why do this? Wait, did we get to the end of this?
He's kicking me out.
Okay, bye.
I can't go through that. Can you let me go around? So
That's a bit of a shame because like I actually like seeing you two debate. But
okay, I
guess to start.
Okay.
Charlie.
I gotta go through the crowd.
I think.
Appreciate you.
This is my first time doing one of these, so like this is all new.
Any MAGA want to debate?
But my question for you, Charlie, is
How you doing, man? How you doing, man?
It's worth a total of $460 billion. Is that not an indication that MAGA is about putting elites first and Americans last?
Every day, man.
No.
Nice to meet you. No.
What makes the MAGA movement?
Charlie Kirk just kicked me out of a Turning Point event for literally destroying him in this debate. He was so embarrassed and he was caught off guard when I showed up as the first person at his Turning Point event at California State University Northridge for asking him very simple questions. Seemingly, he was the one who didn't want to engage in good faith, clearly because he didn't actually let me engage in any actual debate. The conversation lasted less than 5 minutes.
Why'd you stop doing these? I don't know if I necessarily stopped, I just haven't done one.
Like a Jubilee appearance, because he knew exactly that I was going to destroy every single one of his views, and he was so scared. You could see the terror in his eyes.